Okay, it's 6:30. I call the meeting to order. We're using these, aren't we? Okay.
Yeah, we can.
This is for the audience
We already got
tonight.
one there.
Okay. I'll use this thing. Well, it's been quite 2 weeks since our last meeting, hasn't it? Snow, freezing weather, high winds, power outages. Hopefully things are back to normal. Okay. As usual, not much on the old business. I'm going to skip through this. I'm hoping we can keep the meeting pretty short tonight. Anybody have anything on any of these?
Nope, still waiting.
Pete's here to go over the well.
Yep. Okay, Pete, go ahead. Tell us about the well if you've got any.
Basically, there's 4 bids there. Cushing and Sons from Keene was the local bidder.
Mhm.
The other 3 are all about the same price. And basically, is there any questions? Because it's the.
Oh, yeah. Here. There's one up there. Or you can use this one, either one.
Okay. All right, so. I guess basically, is there any questions? It's pretty straightforward as a dollar and cents thing.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, we really have no idea what it really will cost because it's by the foot, right?
Right. Going by all the wells in the neighborhood, the Birchwood Inn has a 1,000-foot well because of the oil spill that was at the highway department. So that is not a real accurate depth. If you go down, if you start down Route 45, those wells are running about 150 to 200 feet deep.
Okay.
The one under the chapel is 100 feet deep. And at the parsonage is about 150. So 150 to 200 probably is the more in line. Those, I simplified those quotes for all of them were 300 feet. Because the way the 4 companies bid was really confusing. If you're not in the business.
Yeah.
The other thing that I added was 73 feet of casing. Typically bedrock right here is 4 to 5 feet down, but not knowing exactly where the well location is going to be, it's probably going to be near a highway. And so you have to have additional casing because of the highway location. But other than that, as you said, it's pretty straightforward. And I guess if there are any questions, Gail.
Gail, use the microphone.
Yep, Gail, you just told him to use it.
Do you have a recommended
Yeah, well, Cushing and Son was the low bidder.
Okay.
Microphone,
Microphone, Gail.
what is the third estimate? Do we have it?
It's actually 4.
Yes,
4. Oh, good,
less
good.
than-
But earlier we were talking maybe 12,000. What are you getting now?
Well,
See, if I can find him in this pile of paper, I'll let you know, Gail.
it's I think Cushing was 7,900.
Okay.
That's based on a 300-foot well. Now, you don't need a whole lot of water for irrigation because you use it once a day and then you let the well refill the 24 hours. So the 1,000-foot well has 2.5 gallons a minute, and all the other shallower wells are a lot more than that. And there's one well here in the village that has a road salt problem, is going to be replaced next year. But other than that, all the other wells are high minerals. That's the only other thing that make people aware of, that irrigation is going to have to be drip irrigation. If you had any kind of sprinkler heads, you're going to have some red monuments. Because there's bound to be some iron. And so any put any water into the air, it's going to turn everything to rust. So drip irrigation is the only viable option other than going into very expensive.
Yeah, water treatment. Yeah.
Yeah, then that means putting up a building. So it just skyrockets from there.
Okay.
When you say drip irrigation, let me be sure that I understand what you mean. I have in mind that we would run hoses around the perimeter along the fence so that it's pretty invisible. And then from there, put hoses off to the trees that we need to water. And like you say, drip them.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you,
No sprinklers.
Yeah,
So-
no sprinklers. That's what it is.
No, I don't want sprinklers.
no,
So if you had, can I water 6 trees at once? Or do I have to water them in a sequence?
well, that depend on how many gallons a minute.
Okay.
Like at your house, yes, you could.
If we did it here.
Yeah, until you hit the water, you don't know whether, it could be anywhere from 1 to 20 gallons a minute. So so it needs to be, that needs to be determined, then just size the pump for whatever is there.
Did you determine a good time for this well to be drilled?
Well, yeah, this time of year is actually the best time for it's the lowest impact on the back in and drill. And it's, you're drilling in granite, so a little frost doesn't matter. So it just, you just start a little later in the morning and you don't work quite as late in the day. But this time of year would have the lowest impact on the lawns.
Could I ask you this? We're kind of thinking about off the edge of the common, somewhere down in the vicinity below that telephone pole with the electricity.
You have to be 6 inches away from the microphone.
You couldn't hear me?
No.
Okay, what is the best location to actually drill the well?
I'm going to leave that up to you.
Yeah, we're planning on other side of the
Yeah,
common down.
Where the old firehouse
Yeah.
was, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
We have to have access to the electricity, as I understand it. And so anywhere where the driller wanted to do it, yeah. So what was the bottom line price? I haven't seen the figure.
I believe it was
7,900, I think.
900.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I would say, I
Okay.
would bump it
and-
up a
and
little
we're,
bit for
That's
contingency.
everything we need.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you're drilling a hole in the ground, so there could be unexpected things, but bedrock, as I said, is 4 to 5 feet there, and that price includes 73 feet because of the you got a state and a town highway right there, so it's got to be extra casing for that. But Phil Laurie well is 140 feet, and the blacksmith shop well is 110. So it's a good shot that 300 feet should do it.
Yeah.
What would it take to get the board to vote to go ahead and do this? So that Pete could proceed with getting the actual well dug?
Okay, I think we probably should add a little bit to it for a contingency.
Yeah, it's $18 a foot after the
Yeah, and you asked 300 feet is what there, that should be plenty though, I would think. Well, Gail, I don't want to vote on it tonight. I think we should think about it. We'll vote on it next meeting.
Vote at the next meeting. Okay,
I don't
this is
wanna
the optimal time to get it going.
Yeah, I heard, Gail. I don't want to transact much business. tonight.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Peter.
Cam, either one.
Hi there. Will this ever be used for potable water?
That was not the intention.
Only because there are regulations about setbacks
Right.
for drinking water.
It was supposed to be irrigation. So,
So labeled.
but
Okay.
that's something we need to consider too. So think about that, Gail.
I didn't hear her.
Do we ever want to use this for drinking water or is it strictly for irrigation? Okay,
No,
okay.
no.
Yeah, we don't want to test water. We don't want it to be drunk. In fact, I believe that we understand that to use it, there will be a switch on the pole with two groups will have a key. The Village Green will have a key and the Highway Department will have a key. They turn it on, do their thing, go back, turn it off. Nobody else can do it. So that makes it safe that there's not going to be anybody drinking the water. Okay?
Okay.
George, you look kind of like you're undecided here. You think this is a great idea, don't you?
Are you trying to put words in my mouth?
What?
Are you trying to put words in my mouth?
Yes. I
Well,
want to tell you that several
it isn't
times we've
working
taken
well.
all of the water from the store when we were trying to water. And poor Peggy and Danny couldn't take showers and run water over there at their store. Okay. We'd like to not do that again.
Okay. Any other questions? I think this is an issue, and so let's decide next meeting, and we have ARPA funds to cover it if we want to.
Thank you.
I think, I mean, just bear in mind, I mean, worst case scenario, I mean, it may go more than 300 feet, but on an average, in this area, in this village district, that 150 to 200 feet is pretty much it. As I said, with the exception of the Birchwood.
Mhm.
But the original Birchwood well is only 160 feet deep. So,
Okay.
but that had, as I said, there was benzenes,
Yeah.
derivative benzenes in the well.
Okay.
So. So we're gonna drill a well over there and we're not gonna test the water. We're just gonna put it on these $800 trees that we buy all the time and put them out there? What's it gonna do to the trees if there's something bad in that water?
Well, yeah, you should need some basic testing. Make sure there's no salt, road salt in it, because you'd have some real brown trees quick. And but testing for potable water probably isn't necessary, but as I said, highway salt, possibly VOCs for the make sure that there's no compounds like that. But as far as going through the Drinking Water Act, there's no need of doing that with irrigation well.
Right, we can do cheap water tests. You probably want to know what the pH of the water is anyway, so you know how to fertilize the trees and do that sort of stuff. Okay.
Thank you.
Given the drought,
Wait. All right.
given the drought we had this year, did any of the wells, Laureate's well or any other local wells go dry? I know that a number of them in Temple did. I just wondered, here we are digging a well, and are we gonna have a drought issue with this well?
Who knows?
Yeah.
There's no problem with any of the wells in the village.
Okay,
As I said, the highway salt was the only problem, and the drier it got, it seemed like the more salt became prevalent.
but the Laureate's well didn't dry this,
No.
yeah, okay.
By the way, for anyone, well, we don't have many participants. This does not come up until you turn it on in there. The screen is blue. The desktop doesn't come up until you turn the keyboard and mouse on. I just discovered. So it's sitting there, you don't have them on. All right, moving on. I have a comment on, it was brought up at the last meeting that we had a barn go out of historic preservation status, and we lost some tax revenue on it. So we've researched this. There were only 2 barns in Temple using the historic tax easement. One is one of Connolly's barns. It is current. They have renewed. The barn in question was Boo Martin's barn. It did lapse. And we didn't have a way of tracking this, but we went back and we computed what the tax difference was for every year, if from when it lapsed to now, had it been taxed properly. And it ranged from $400 to $460 a year. So about $3,500. It was not five figures. It was $3,500 is the tax loss. Our tax assessors have recommended a procedure for us to be able to track this, which we will adopt, I believe. So now there's only one barn in town. We have a discussion coming up soon about adding another barn. That would bring us back to two. Okay,
And you're gonna decide on a hearing for that? or-
yeah, Ken wanted to.
I thought we already did. I thought we were gonna schedule a hearing. That's what my
Yeah, we
motion
can't
was.
schedule it though. We need to pick a date.
Pick a date.
Okay,
How long do you need to put out your notices and all the abutters notices?
There's no butter situation in this, it's just the hearing that was did run that by.
right,
There are no butters.
right. It's just a public hearing. It's not a,
It's just a hearing notification, so just check the calendar and see.
yeah, well,
And you're sure we don't have any abutters notices? Okay.
right. This is a taxation issue, not a,
Well, usually when it has to do with anybody's property, the abutters are the first ones.
yep. So, Ken and George, pick a date, pick some dates and I'll accommodate you and work it out with Carol.
Well, if we can, I'd like to do it before our meeting. So if we can do it at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, then we
Okay.
have a meeting next. That would be great.
It's fine with me.
Next meeting in January.
On next 5:30, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 o'clock before our next meeting now. Okay, so it's 5 PM. That's an hour and a half. Do we need that long?
No, we'll do it at 5:30. That way there, if there are people here and they have some
Yeah.
concerns, and then we'll start our meeting at 6:30.
Okay,
So we're only sitting for an hour.
did you catch that, Carol? 5:30?
5:30, did you say change ours to 6 or?
Ours,
No.
keep ours at 6:30.
Ours is 6:30. So it'll be the 10th, January 10th.
Okay. All set on that? TLUC report, Tim, and Tim's not here.
Now,
Okay, well, wait for him. There's a request to appoint Nicole Concordia and Heather Hannon as library trustees.
I so motion.
I
You wanna make a
second.
speech?
All in favor?
Aye.
You're appointed.
And I must say, it was the most impressive letters that we got from anybody to join any committee, and with a resume included, and I was very impressed.
Yeah. Sure.
Do I just schedule an appointment or go down to the town offices when it's open and
Get
get
sworn
sworn in?
Yep.
Okay.
Christine is not here. She told me she was not going to be here and to skip her, so we will do that.
Don't we have another one that wants to be on the library trustees?
There was two of them,
No, we did.
Heather Hannon and Nicole Concordia.
Discussion of Fiske LUCT tax. Let me explain this. Gail has analyzed the LUCT charges that our assessor has come up with and wants to comment on them. So Gail.
Yes, thank you. Maybe I can continue to sit down since I'm so old. I don't know if Avatar has shared with you the great quantity of historical information that we gave to him on the Whiting lots. The Whiting lots included both of sides of the old Revolutionary Road. Now, when current use law came into effect in 1974, it was very common for people to put the land that they wanted to put into the current use law but to withhold certain amounts of acres for their house and their barn. And that is exactly what the Whitings did. Now, George, you probably remember this, but the Whiting house and barn were right on the road, old Revolutionary Road. And that was a common way for people to do things back in the old days. Because they didn't, if it snowed, they didn't want to have to plow a distance out to a barn or to a house. They wanted to be right there. So that was a very common thing. So what the Whitings did, they put they put all but 1 acre for both sides of the road into current use. That meant that on the south side of Old Revolutionary Road, they put in 0.63, and on the other 0.63 of an acre, it was not a whole acre. And on the other side, they put in 0.37 of an acre. Those totaled 1 acre. So in other words, when you went down Old Revolutionary Road, the Whiting property had a house and it had 0.63 of an acre around it, not in current use. And on the other side, where Ben Fiske's house is now, that had a barn, and around the barn was 0.37. So that totaled up to
That's the
1 acre.
south side.
What's
The
that?
0.37 is on the south side.
On the north side.
North side. Okay.
Okay, so in other words, where the sugar shack is going up now, that had an allotment for 0.363 for a house. Okay. Now, the key thing to understand is that this acre on both sides, totaling up 1 acre, were never in current use. They were never taken out of current use. They were never in current use. And that's an important distinction. Okay. Now, when I read the last write-up that Mr. Roberts turned out, he realized that he had made an error in his September 6th write-up, and he did indeed correct that. The other error that he corrected was the entire sugar shack property was not in the 0.63 on the Ben Fiske sugar shack side of the property. I'm going to call that lot 2A18. I believe that's the proper name for that one. Okay. And 2A14 is on the other side. No, wait a minute. 2A17 is the sugar shack and 2A14 is on the other side. But anyway, it's the sugar shack site and Ben's house site. Those are the two.
Yep.
Okay. So the key thing is that the 0.63 of an acre was centered around the old house and did not include the new location for the sugar shack. So all of the new sugar shack property had to be taken out. How much was that? They wanted to take out 100,000 square feet. You divide that by the amount of feet in an acre, which is 43,560 or something like that. And you come out with the number, which is 2.294. So that's the amount of the acreage, 2.294, that had to come out of current use. Okay. Now I'm going to read my write-up so I don't get it mixed up. What I object to is, first of all, the use of the $2,000 an acre as the value for the acreage taken out of current use. And second, there is a lack of accurate measurement of the small triangle, which turns out to be critical for the determination of the overall current use eligibility for the two Fiske properties. Roberts refers to the removal of 2.294 as excess acreage. This is a concept that is not referred to in state law, nor in the current use booklet published by the state. I have it. It's over 100 pages and I have read every line in it, okay? What state law says is the following. The land use change tax is 10% of the full and true value of the land that no longer qualifies for current use. That's RSA 79-A7. Now, how to determine the full and true value? Comparable sales would be one way. Roberts provided a list with none of them truly comparable. All were house lots on interior roads of Temple, with one exception. Lot 2A-29, 11.15 acres, sold for $140,000 or $12,500 an acre just recently. This lot is known for its very poor access, but it was vacant land on Route 101, totally unsuitable for commercial development. And yet they sold it for $12,500 an acre. There is a lot in Wilton, a commercial property on Route 101 across from the water company. I bet you all know that lot. It's a totally empty lot. It's on the market for $100,000 an acre. Granted, it hasn't sold. We'll see how it goes. But that's what it's priced at, $100,000 an acre for a commercial lot. Now, Let us consider a lot with excellent visibility from the highway, a fully permitted lot for commercial use. I, of course, am talking about the lot in question itself. The original purchase of lot 2A17 in 2013 was $223,000, 7.13 acres, which is $31,300 per acre. Inflation in the last 10 years has undoubtedly raised that value. You could use that or double it as a fair price. Avatar needs to do their job here and come up with comparable sales, which is what they have not done. Use of the sales price lot of the lot itself is not unusual. You, the board, will be approving a LUCT later in this meeting where the lot value is the sales price. A 5-acre lot which sold for $35,000. You will collect $35,000 for this. That's amazing. Now, I go to the one wishes.
$3,500.
3,500.
What?
$3,500.
$35,000. You want to check out your luck?
What did you say the sale price was?
$350,000, and you're collecting 10% of that. You need to read what you are given as information for your meeting.
We have not signed it
$35,000.
yet, Gail.
Okay, I'm just
Stick to
telling
the
you.
topic.
All right. One wishes that there was a bit of uniformity in how people are treated in our town. $2,000 per acre is not a full and true value. You lose credibility with an issue, with a value like that. Now, I go to the second issue. This requirement appears in the 2022-23 current use booklet published by the Current Use Board. CUB 303.12 acreage discrepancies. If, upon review of the form application for this pursuant to this rule, the municipal assessing authorities or their designee, if they find that the acreage of a parcel of land does not accurately reflect the municipal property record card and tax map information, the landowner shall provide documented evidence of the acreage of the parcel. Now, here is why this is important. The land remaining in current use on the two properties is as follows. On lot 2A17, 3.836 acres remains in current use. That's the lot bordering 101. 2A14, Ben's house lot, 6.12 acres will remain in current use because he presently has only 0.37 out. No property in Temple before has less than an acre for a house lot, unless it preceded zoning. This one does not precede zoning. So, and he says, Robert says this in his write-up. So you need to take out some additional land there. If you add the 3.836 on lot 2A17 to 6.12 on lot 2A14, you come up with 9.956 for the two lots. This is less than 10 acres. An additional 0.044 acres is needed. The requirement, so that we can understand it, is just under 2,000 square feet. If you take 43,560, which is the amount of square feet in an acre, multiply that by 0.044, you come up with 1916.64. Now, if you have trouble visualizing what 1,900 or 2,000 square feet is, the size of this room is 1,000 square feet. The question is, how big is that triangle? Okay, because that's what the solution would be to get to the total requirement for 10 acres. The small triangle has been described for years as 1/10 of an acre. This was questioned by Robert, and he described two different ways to measure that lot. He did an aerial measurement, and then he also had Carol contact our map company for an opinion. Based on that, he concluded that the triangle was large enough. This violates current use procedures. As I have just read to you, the current use law requires that the landowner bears the responsibility of an accurate measurement. An actual survey is needed. And in fact, Robert says he wished he had a survey. He should have quoted the law and said, okay, you need a survey. Now, the taxpayers of our town deserve a correct following of the law. There are some issues here. I think Mr. Roberge has got to go back and do some recalculations. 2,000 an acre is not going to be credible with anybody in this town. And that we need to figure out what it is about this triangle, how big it really is. I don't know myself. I don't know. It's covered with snow. I'm not going to go out and measure it. Somebody else can measure it. Thank you.
Okay, so to fill in more, the assessors did look at this. They did make a change to the LUCT.
Yeah.
I have spent hours working with our assessors on this. Our assessor Evans says that these are correct figures, that is based on standard procedures here. So I asked for a review. This was reviewed by his supervisor, Lauren Martin, who is an NHDRA certified property assessor supervisor. She's director of assessing operations, Avatar. She's also on the New Hampshire Assessing Standards Board for the state. She has reviewed it and says that she concurs with his findings. So what she says is, it appears that what these taxpayers fail to understand is that the building envelope on this parcel was not in current use and was assessed at market value. We all agree on that one. Therefore, the portion of the land where most of the value lies was not subject to an LUCT, correct? The land that was released was residual to the site. It was not part of the actual construction. So she ends up saying, while the selectmen have a final say on the amount of LUCT issued, I would urge you to be cautious. We have been your contracted assessor and we will stand firmly behind our recommendation. Should you choose to build something greater on a whim and the taxpayer appeals, we will not defend that value. Okay, that's his statement from the assessor.
Yeah, I have read, you were kind enough to send me that in advance and I read it. What you have done, you first of all told me that you would get an independent opinion. Getting a second opinion within the firm itself is not what I would call an independent opinion.
Gail, I am not going to buy
remember-
into there's some big cover up here. She is state certified.
I am stating what the law says. I do not understand how they are arriving at this concept of excess acreage. That is not a term that exists in the current use law. If it exists, then they're going to have to come up and show this.
I suspect it is standard use. I actually.
It is not in the current use
Gail.
booklet.
So tell me, Gail, when did you get your certification as a tax assessor?
I don't need my certification. I can read the law. I would like to have a conversation with Mr. Roberge. I suggest
Call
that
him
you
up.
get him here and let us talk to him.
He is
Okay?
willing to do so. I do not feel like forcing him to come here to say the same thing he said again. So Gail, where'd you get your
How,
lot again?
how do you defend 2,000 an acre when you are collecting $35,000 from these poor guys up at Stonegate?
I defend it
PRD,
What?
and you.
PRD.
PRD.
Yeah, all right,
yes.
never mind, never
I
mind.
defend it
It's still
because
10%
we
of their
have
sales
hired a
price.
professional company certified by the state. I am not an assessor. You are not an assessor. You are not a lawyer. We depend on professional advice. They are well regarded in the state. And also I did talk independently to a Wilton town official and passed this by them. And they said it seemed perfectly reasonable to them. Now, they are not an assessor either.
I wonder what you exactly told this friend
And
of
I'm
yours
not
in
going to get
Wilton.
into,
May
you
may
didn't get
I-
the answer you wanted because I didn't say the right thing.
I
We
don't
will
know
put
if
it
you
to a
know,
vote.
every time I have talked to you, you have talked about, well, they had to take out an acre for the original current use, out of the current use. They was never taken out originally.
That was
It was
before
never
all
in.
this stuff came up and I got this information.
I
So,
am
enough,
saying
Gail.
that if you try to charge 2,000 an acre for this property, that is not a credible number. No
Fine.
one would believe that number.
I believe it.
2,000 an acre. Well, I don't know how gullible you are, Bill, you know?
All right, Gail, enough. We will put it to a vote. I will move that we reassess Ben's LUCT and put on the arbitrary value that Gail comes up with. Is there a second? There being no second, the motion fails. Ben's
Well, that was a
LUCT
pretty weird
stands.
mo- That was a very
What do
weird
you
motion.
call it?
What?
What I said, we'd reconsider it and put the value you come up with.
Yeah,
on it.
okay, I'll go with double what he paid for
But,
it.
all right,
Okay,
I will rephrase the motion. I move that we charge double what was initially charged for Ben's LUCT.
This is a waste of time because you know very well that your
Well, of
board is
course
not
it's
going
not. We
to
don't
agree with
you.
that.
None of the three of us do. This motion fails. Sue us. Thank you, Gail. Connie,
Microphone.
there's a handheld one somewhere floating around.
Can you just tell me the total amount he's been charged for the LUCT?
I don't have that at hand. It's yeah, it's on record. Yeah. Yeah.
Is the total $400?
It's not a mystery.
Is the total $400?
I don't remember what it is. I haven't, no, it was more than that.
450? So my point is there's nobody else in town that's ever been charged that. And also,
Connie, you're going with what our assessor
I
said.
understand. I understand. I just want to make it clear. Can I ask one more question, please?
One at a time, please.
Were you asking Ken Caisse to vote?
Oh, yes, Ken, you have to recuse. Well, nobody seconded it, including George, so it's moot.
He's-
But Ken, you should have had to recuse yourself.
I believe there were comments.
Over again. I will make, Ken, you will have to recuse. I make a motion that we adjust Ben's LUCT tax to be double what he has currently paid. Is there a second, George? No, second. It's over. Done. Gail, the Secretary of State will be happy to receive your call about our total incompetence.
Thank you. Thank you. We've suggested it more than once,
Yes.
and good luck with that.
And let the professionals deal with the assessing, not you.
You were,
I blame him.
shame on you.
Just for this, when she answers this, they write Fiske,
Oh, that came from, that's how they wrote it.
yes.
So we need to check.
So we need to check this and have them correct that.
Yeah, okay. Misspelled your name. Okay, there's Tim. So Tim, go right ahead. This is the TLUC report.
Geez, that was fast.
It's because you were late.
Yeah, you were late, so
Yeah,
we
I
skipped
know,
you.
That's, I figured I'd be waiting for a while.
No, we just figured, we just ended one, so we
We
figured
don't waste no time here.
give you another one.
Am I supposed to talk into this? thing?
Yes,
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 please.
you are.
Is it on?
The little lights on, it's on.
Light green, okay.
Yep.
All right, well, what I'm showing you is the map of what our proposal is for the next site for the future highway department. It's kind of shrunk down, of course, because it's supposed to be up on a 15 by 20 something map or whatever, but you get the gist of what it is, I hope. I think George already has one of them anyways, but you can give yours to Carol if you've got another one, so.
Gee, if we'd been prepared, we could have projected this.
Yeah. Nah, that's too high tech for me.
Hmm.
So that's what our plan is we're gonna send out a bunch of flyers to the townspeople to talk about this different stuff and give them some different aspects of what's going on and what problems are and everything. And we've got a warrant article that we're going to come into town meeting with if you guys are agreeable. It's not asking for any money. It's just asking the townspeople if this is a site that is agreeable to everybody. And the other part of the warrant article might be if they would allow us to get started on doing the site work with the money that we already have. And we've got all kinds of prices and everything, but I'll tell you right now that everybody that we get prices from, they come in and look at it, like I had main drilling and blasting in there, looking at it, and we dug several test pits and told them how deep ledge is. And they said, well, we'll give you a price of 20,000 to 50,000, somewheres in there. So that's how things are gonna be is, you know, they just, everything is just too much up in the air for them to say, okay, it's gonna be this much money. If they give you a bid price, it would have been $50,000.
Okay.
And they may have done it for 20,000, but they'd charge you 50. So there's an awful lot of it that would be, we just kind of go work with things as we go. If you guys and the townspeople would be agreeable to it. And our thoughts are if we could at least get the site work done, then that puts us to the point of being shovel ready. And then we can start asking for grants and things like that. I mean, the federal government's pumping out billions and billions of dollars in grants right now, like crazy. And, but we're just not ready. We can't ask for anything because we're not ready yet. And, so just to kind of update you guys on where we're at and what's going on, we're planning on sending out a couple of mailers to the townspeople. And then we want to have a town forum in February and try to get some people in here and talk about things and hammer stuff out. And we will have some numbers and things, but they're going to be round numbers, nothing explicit by any means. And so I just want to bring you guys up to date on things.
Be sure to get us the warrant article in time for it to get passed by legal and DRA and all that stuff.
Well, that was one of my questions is what are the dates here for warrant articles and stuff?
When Wendy has those. Wendy will have all those dates.
Okay. All right. Because I couldn't remember. It seemed to me warrant articles used to be late January, somewhere in there that we used to bring them in, but
Yeah, you
but-
got to give us enough time to pass them by our legal too,
Yeah.
before it goes to DRA.
Yeah.
So,
If it's no money, it doesn't have to go
That's
before the DRA.
right.
well, that was the other
So-
thing is we talked at our last meeting with if we're not asking for
Right.
money, then it isn't as big of a deal, but still I want them to be to you guys in time so they can, because I know town report, they get going on that. In-
Still has to go up to the lawyer to make
Yep.
sure the language is correct.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So ASAP, how's that?
Okay. Any questions about what you're looking at with the maps there or? The warrant article is basically what it's gonna ask for is that the townspeople take a 5-acre chunk out of the Scladany land down behind the Holt property, what will used to be the Holt property. We want to keep those two pieces of property separated. And the driveway for the entranceway to the site would go through the Holt property. But we originally had talked about blending those two pieces of property together and just make it at one. We don't want to do that anymore. One of the reasons being is that if you disturb more than 2 acres of property, you have to get into all this crap with the state, to put it plain and simple. And yeah. And so if we keep the two pieces of property separated, then all the roadway going into the site would be a separate piece of property, separate project, really. And so then we wouldn't have to worry about disturbing more property than what the state wants us to. but we need to go across the stream and we need to go through DES and so there's be a long drawn out process, but this whole deal, to be honest with you, I think is going to take several years. No doubt about it. But if we can get the ball rolling and there's a chance we can get grants and stuff out there. So, any questions about that piece of property that you see? Sometime if you guys want to take a walk out there, I know if I take all three of you out there, it has to be a posted meeting, and I didn't want to have to do that. But if you want to take a look at it with me sometime, we've dug test pits out there and we've had the surveyors look at it and they've ribboned off all the wetlands areas out there, and I'd be happy to go out there with you and tromp through the woods, but it's not a bad time right now while the snow's not in very deep, but.
Yeah, I went out there for when it was last summer sometime, whenever it was that we went out and looked at that.
Yeah.
Alternate site, yeah.
It's all feasible. It all can be worked and done. I've got some ideas that I think we could do to save a lot of money, but it'd all be whether everybody's agreeable to it or not. And so that's where we're at.
I already walked out there with you when we first started the land use committee.
Yep.
I'm pretty familiar with that area.
Yes, I got covered with ticks.
Well, you won't get too many ticks right now if you go walking out there. It's a good time. So.
Okay, for anyone watching the recording, there is this little site map. It will be available online with the minutes and on the town website.
Any other questions? Everybody good?
Looks like we're good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next up, AV equipment security concerns. I remember who put that on. Anybody have any idea what that was about?
I thought that was you, Bill.
Oh, well, God, maybe it was me. Let me see if I can think of what it was. I think actually Charlton might have talked to me a little bit about this. So we have most of the stuff locked up back there. We thought the iPad had been stolen because we could not find the bloody thing, but it was wedged up inside the rack. So as far as I know right now, we don't have any major security concerns. So we'll skip that for now until somebody reminds me what the problems were, if any. Medallions for grave sites. So we voted to approve money for medallions, veterans medallions to go on the website, on the grave sites. And then Mike Darnell pointed out that we can get them for free from the government. We have to fill out some forms, do some paperwork. You guys have any comment on that?
Do we have to have the names of the people that are getting these medallions?
We have to submit that form that people need to submit to get the veterans tax credit, which I
Right.
can't remember the number of. It's the one that John had to jump through hoops to get.
I think Steve Howling had a lot to do with this
Okay.
because he usually puts the flags out on all the veterans grave sites before Memorial Day.
Yeah, I think he's the one that came and asked us for the money. So the question is, do we want to go through that process? The medallions, I think, are what, $10 a piece? Do we want to go through all the paperwork to get the feds to do it, or we don't want to just pay for it?
I think we should.
What was the total?
I think there were $10 a piece. I don't remember how many we got. 20 of them, maybe $200.
So $200, and we're talking government paperwork that we have to get through to get the
Yeah.
$200.
To get free ones.
Are we gonna have that guaranteed before Memorial Day?
I doubt it.
I'm okay with paying the $200.
George, got any comment on that?
Was that a motion?
Yeah, that was my motion to continue with the $200.
Oh, okay.
I second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we'll go ahead with what we've done, so we don't have to worry about getting the medallions in time. However, for future, in the future, we can plan ahead and use the government stuff. All right, we have now UCT and warrant for Fisher on Stonegate Farm Road. Which one is that?
That's your neighbor.
The one across the street?
Yep.
It's either the one across the street or it's the one that bought the Minister's Hill lot. I suspect it's the one across the street. Maybe, I don't know what. Yeah, well, in fact,
Well, it says accessible street is Stonegate Farm Road.
well, let's see the application. Does it say anything on here about which one it is? 5.116 acres. 8A213.
Which rings a bell with PSNH for me,
That's
answering questions for them.
that's got to be the lot across from you then. And there wouldn't be an LUCT on the other lot until they started doing something with it. So, yeah, their actual address is not Stonegate, it's Webster. In fact, the access is from Webster.
But is it part of that?
No, it's not part of the PRD.
PRD?
Nope. So Randy carved off a 5-acre chunk of land he had that was for timber doodle and sold it as a building lot. It's not it's just a regular lot, not part of the PRD. Right. So I guess that really doesn't make much difference.
Yeah, that's the one.
And yes, so this is the lot Gail was talking about. The full and true market value was the sale price, which was 350,000. And the LUCT is 35,000. Okay. Oh, this is the original.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the one we got to sign.
Now, I will say that I find the land values assessors come up with to be confusing myself. But they're always confusing. It's nothing new in this one. Okay, we got a solar permit application, Clark on Moran Road.
Signed off by Will. I looked at it. I'm okay with it as well. All of the paperwork is in here.
Okay, is this roof or?
Yeah, but both of them are roof
Okay.
mounts. They're both on Moran Road and they're both roof mounts. We got 43 Moran Road and we got 94 Moran Road. Two different contractors, but both roof mounts.
Okay. All righty.
So this other one for 94, Adam Lasher, 94 Moran Road was also signed off by Will.
Okay. Sunrun, haven't heard of them before. Wow, people are putting in solar left and right in town. It's really pretty impressive.
Get a bump.
You broke it, you got it.
What else is new?
Okey-dokey.
That was just a cover page, so this goes on top.
Yep.
We signed it on the back
Let's see who's put this one in.
and put their,
Yeah, their receipt on there.
yeah.
Who the heck's doing the install? Oh, Venture Home Solar. Good. And these solar installers are popping up left and right also. All right, it's all set. The last agenda item is to approve select board minutes from December 13th.
What does that stand for?
Professional engineer. Yeah, we can,
Should we write that in?
yeah, go ahead. I don't care.
Okay, we ready?
Yep.
On page 1?
Yep.
Last sentence. Well, not the last sentence, but the one before that.
Okay.
It says Case asked if the Kieleys have notified their attorney of the increase in junk. But it doesn't say my response to that, and I'd like to have it in the minutes.
Okay.
Or not my response, but what I was told.
Yep.
As they were granted intervener of this case. Case was told by Kieley that what he says to his lawyer is none of Case's business. It says that as they were granted to be interveners in the case, Case was told by Kieley that what he said to his lawyers is none of Case's business. When I asked about the if he had conveyed the same thing he was conveying to us, to his attorney. That's what I was told.
And I'll comment, we have in fact informed our attorney of this information of the new junk.
Then on page 4 or 7. Town report memorandums. I've always heard of her called Constance Ronaldo. I've never heard Connie Ronaldo. I don't know. I've never met the woman.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I've heard her name a million times, but I've never met her.
Who's that? Connor Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it Constance or is it Connie or is
I,
it?
I guess it was Connie. She
Okay.
lives down on Coburn Road.
I always thought that her name was Constance Ronaldo. That's what,
Oh,
anything that I've seen her name and was always Constance Ronaldo.
so
And
you
here
put
that we
that
have it
Case?
as Connie.
That's her.
And I know it's
short
a
name.
nickname,
Yeah,
but
no, that's her nickname. I don't know how she wants it. I've only seen her written as Constance myself, but I don't care.
and then under the attachments number 2, page 6 or 7,
Mhm.
the bottom paragraph twice, it has PE in it. Can we explain PE as professional engineer?
Yes,
'Cause I don't know how else you would get that from what we're talking about there.
yes, I won't say these are my notes and I knew what it meant, but yes, I have no objection to that.
What do you think?
So change on attachment number 1, my speaking.
Did you have a question for me, Carol? You want to go with Bill?
I just wanted to change something on
Yeah, under attachment number 2, page 6 or 7, bottom paragraph.
Yes, it says the letters PE,
PE.
change that to professional engineer.
And it's in that sentence twice,
Yep,
right?
it's actually in there 3 times.
3 windows, 3 in,
It's in
right at the
there,
end of the sentence, and then,
yeah, it's in the
Let's see
sentence
the other one.
above too. So there's 3 PEs there you can turn into professional engineer. Anybody got anything else?
Committee reports. I attended our SAC meeting on Thursday, December
We're not doing that
22nd.
yet. We got to vote on the minutes first, George.
Oh, okay.
Any changes, any more changes to the minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes as corrected.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Minutes are taken care of. Okay, George, go ahead.
I attended our SAC meeting on Thursday, December 22nd, along with 8 other SAC members. Superintendent Kimberly Saunders, Janine Lusser from the school board, and Brenda Mashaw, the recording secretary. Over the Ms. Saunders said that over the last 7 years, Conval has been losing about 200 students per year.
Hmm.
That's some of it's due to the low birth rate. And they have proposed merit raises of up to 4% for select teachers and employees. And the proposed budget is up about 1.3% from last year. And they are using $450,000 ESSER dollars to help balance the budget of the federal government.
So the student population keeps going down, yet we end up paying more, and they keep having to hire more administrators for fewer students. That's Conval for you. I can, you done, George?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I can do a brief kind of a planning board update because Christine isn't here. The feds have finally gotten flood maps out for Temple. They're preliminary, they will be approved later this year. And they are pretty much where we kind of expected them to be. But now that there are official flood maps coming out, if we do not adopt the flood insurance program, no one will be able to refinance a house or sell that house that's in one of these flood areas without flood insurance. And they'd have to get commercial flood insurance, and that is really expensive. So this is not a select board problem. This is a planning board problem, and they're going to be working on that.
But the planning board over the years has put this off because there's very few places in Temple that we really have to worry about flooding.
There's more than you would imagine, according to the feds.
Well, there's,
I don't think they impact really any.
I own
houses.
some land that gets flooded
Yeah,
quite frequently.
mine too. Mine, I have some land that
Yeah.
gets flooded. But now
It
it's going
goes
to be
away pretty
mandatory.
quick.
I mean, it's going to be mandatory now for selling any property that is in the flood zone that's got a building on it.
Yeah.
You're going to have flood insurance. That's federal law. So anyway, the planning board will be doing stuff about that upcoming.
Is that devalue?
It could, I would think, yeah. Like, hey, I'm now in a flood zone.
Oh, no, I mean, now you're all the stuff that you're gonna have to go back and do all this.
Well, we're not, yeah, it gets complicated, and I'm not going to go into it. That's planning board will get into it, but yeah, it can be a mess. All right.
I have one more subject.
Okay, go ahead.
I sent a email to Laura Spector Morgan regarding Ben Fisk's request for the return of the ZBA's legal fees. And she said, I didn't make up copies of it, but she said that the ZBA can charge applicants for expenses reasonably incurred by obtaining third-party review and consultation during the review process. She says that she is not aware of any case law where the ZBA charges the fees for the legal for using their own legal people. I have and she also suggested that I schedule a meeting with the other 2 temporary select board members, and she would be willing to come down and discuss that with us in a non-public meeting. So I've wanted to ask the select board for approval to okay that.
We can't do it.
You in this case are the select.
Yeah,
board.
you're the select board. We both are
Okay.
recused. Laura gave me a lecture a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago saying, I'm not gonna send you anything. Don't ask. Don't have Carol send me anything or Ken anything. It's up to you, George.
And I
So-
told her the same thing. And I told her that I've never asked anybody from the audience to contact her. But now she wants to discuss this with our 2 temporary board members.
Yep, that makes
So
sense because.
I
they're-
will
they're board
schedule
members.
a meeting.
Go right ahead. Now, we will have to do what we did last time.
Yes,
We'll make a motion to have the 2 temporary guys take over for that purpose. So that much we will know.
so
So
I
just,
should have Carol inform them.
yep, Carol can inform them and put it on the agenda.
And
then
I'll
we'll-
probably ask
We missed two.
Laura to come down.
Okay. I
Yes.
can't, whoop,
I'm not very convincing.
you're talking to yourself, George. We're not listening. La, 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 la.
No, I'm just, I like to talk a lot.
Yeah, so again. Yeah.
Yes, please.
So I did go take the step a few weeks ago after Laura told me to butt out and shut up. I gave the other 2 temporary select members her contact address and said, talk to her. Okay, anybody have anything else?
Yes.
Okay,
We talked about cleaning last time, and I think it's funny and convenient that it got dropped off of this
oh,
agenda.
skipped over. I tried,
We have a
to,
tendency to do that sometimes.
especially when,
But, you know, in all fairness, it would be wrong for us to not at least check up on the prices
Yeah.
of said cleaning services.
okay,
So I would like to make a motion to put an invitation to bid for the 3 buildings in town, library included.
okay. I will second that. All in favor?
Aye. We're gonna put an invitation to bid in the newspaper. We have to come up with some parameters, which I will come up with before the next meeting, so we can get it out.
Yeah, even if we keep them, it's prudent to
To
get
check up on
competitive
them once in a
bids.
while, make sure they're within reason.
Yep,
And my other thing, we all know from last meeting, this recording thing. I do not want to be on YouTube. I am a public servant. I do not need to sit here, and I do not need my likeness to be put on YouTube without my permission. So therefore, no one has my permission to put my likeness on YouTube. So let's get that straight right now. And then we talked about it last time. There's no reason to keep a recording unless we keep it in-house. So if you want to keep it in-house, I'm fine with it. If you don't want to keep it in-house, then I'm going to have the blue flu. And I will discuss that with the lawyer as well. And you won't see me sitting here. I will call in.
okay. You should, actually, you probably should pass it by legal. Go ahead and do that.
I can do that.
Okay. All righty. Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second. Nicole.
Okay.
The flag policy?
We've asked several times, our legal people, they're saying it's not high priority, it's no big deal. But you'll get to it one of these years.
Cleaning.
Okay, so there's been moved and seconded, all in favor of adjourning, aye.
Aye.
So I remind them occasionally.
I moved, I moved to adjourn. Did I, Bill?
The barn got out of preservation that. She's paying less than that.
No, it went out of,
Dan,
okay, hold on, I gotta end this. Oh, it's ended. Who ended? I don't know. It had been in.
Yeah, that sounds like you did it.